Our new song is available for pre-order at getcominghome.com. Check it out. Download iTunes to pre-order and support our work. In this story from the Post Millennial, they write, Republicans in the lead on party ID for the first time in third quarter of a presidential election year, according to Gallup. Of U.S. adults, 48% said they identified or leaned towards the Republican Party, while 45% said that of the Democratic Party. Well, there you go. Have a good day, everybody. Feel good about yourselves.
Yay.
Because Kamala Harris is losing. And it's a big deal. I actually went back on the Gallup poll to 2020 and 2016. Around this time, it was always heavily Democrat. People were leaning Democrat and they were not leaning Republican. And then I'll just give you this one. This one's really funny. NJ.com, the way they wrote the story was hilarious. It was new swing state polls, very bad for one candidate. You know, new Harris versus Trump poll shows trouble in swing states for one candidate. Yeah, which one? You know why they wrote it this way? I want to ask you, Libby, as someone who writes headlines, why do you think they wrote a nondescript headline like this?
They wrote a nondescript headline because they want you to click on the story.
I believe that's normally the case.
That is normally the case.
But I think there's a different reason as to why they're doing this now.
I think they want you to assume that it's Trump who is suffering.
Oh, do you think
and
so?
that Harris is doing well.
Interesting.
I don't think so.
Really?
I mean, possibly. But I think there is now the suspense is built. It is because if they write the headline that Harris is losing, people will get angry and they will not click it.
Oh, interesting.
You think they'll just be mad?
For a fact, I know this from when we make headlines. Mm-hmm. You know, that you have to, first of all, something has to make someone angry, but in a way that makes them feel like they can do something. I'm pretty sure NJ.com, it's New Jersey. They're probably thinking, if we put new swing state poll has Harris down, people are going to refuse to look at it. They want their own opinions regurgitated back at them. So you got to write it in a way that they can't really tell. And so you're wondering, I wonder who it's going to be bad for. But lo, it is Harris. Harris ain't doing so well. Trump's winning.
Well,
so, you know.
Kamala's she's been being criticized by leftist pundits now, too. I mean, she was criticized a little bit last night by the MSNBC host who interviewed her. You know, she was saying, hey, where's the substance on this? She's been criticized by some people on CNN. She's not getting the pass.
Holistically. Not getting it holistically.
Yeah. I think there was something that was going around like drink every time she says holistically. And it's like you would be drunk, like depending on. So, yeah, I think that's happening too, because in part, I think a lot of these news networks are realizing that if they just keep lying and keep trying to ride on vibe, they're not going to have any access to a Trump White House. And that would be disconcerting for them.
So we saw that story the other day about Zuckerberg being libertarian.
Yeah, that was
interesting. About this morning.
interesting.
I think it's the same thing. I think he's sitting there being like, Trump's going to win and the iron fist is coming down on my face. So I better turn things around and make him happy.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, I was going to say, Ben, you've also got Zelensky now agreeing to having a meeting as well. So I think there's a lot of people now panicking, thinking we better get in Trump's good books because he's going to win.
I'm loving it. All the stuff we're seeing right now is indicating that power structures have already determined Trump won. I hope that's the case. Mm-hmm. Otherwise,
if you're voting, don't take it for granted. Please go.
I know.
Ballot. I think Libby's point is interesting in part because I wonder if you're the media, you're used to being like, well, we scratch the Democrats' back, we prop them up, we give her the softball interviews, and then they give us exclusives and like key information, and we're able to like use it for stories and content and this and the other. And so far, they propped her up. They did the thing they know they're supposed to do, and the Kamala Harris campaign has been like, great, we'll give you no interviews and no specifics on policies and no information, and we'll just sort of hang back here. I mean, the mainstream media might be scared that they are not getting access to a Trump White House, but I think they're also realizing if they continue down the path they're going, they're guaranteeing that they'll get nothing from 4 years of a Harris-Walz administration. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
She's not doing them any favors, right?
No, she isn't doing any favors. And she wouldn't give access anyway if they, you know, like you're saying, if they go into a Kamala Harris White House, they wouldn't have access there either because she's not going to give any access. We can see every time she does an interview, there's like all this buildup. She's going to do an interview, you guys. Maybe she's going to say something that matters.
I think she would give them access. I just think they all realize it's access to what?
Well, there's no substance there.
Holistic unburdening. Like, what are you going to get at? You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip.
I mean, I think she's realized Joe Biden has done very few interviews. It looks like I could be a president like this. She's given very few interviews on the campaign trail. Like, she's realizing that, like, she is the one with the power because the media, again, will, be submissive and praise her no matter what. And so if they don't change their ways, they're kind of stuck. I think that they may hate Trump, but he gives them a lot of content. There's always something to say about Trump.
Trump is
She's
good for
giving
business.
them nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Trump's winning. Hope y'all are happy about it because Kamala Harris is freaking out. Drew Hernandez has this post. It's pretty funny. He says, if you're wondering why Kamala is going down to the border in Arizona tomorrow, this is why. Her campaign emails are in disarray. The campaign is falling apart just about a month out from the election. And this is why she's begging for a debate. Harris Waltz emailed the New York Times just released new polls of Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina. Unfortunately, Trump leads in all 3 states. Trump's up by 5 in Arizona, 4 in Georgia, and 2 in North Carolina. Now, to be fair, they do this on purpose to generate money. They want you to be scared, sense of urgency. Now, that being said, she's still down. The New York Times did publish this poll. She is losing, and it's pretty wild to see. Following the debate, when even Nate Silver is giving her the edge and saying it looks like she's going to win, I'm just sitting here being like, do you guys learn your lesson? Biden was up 7 points this time in 2020. And Trump supporters were pushing and pushing and pushing, but they could not win the procedure. That's the game that Democrats played. These polls are really good for Donald Trump. My question then in the inverse is, are Republicans going to learn their lesson?
And show up and vote?
Yeah, they better, because these polls, I don't know if these polls are big enough to beat the shadow campaign, right? But ultimately, you got the media. Let's separate the argument from the election. In the argument, Trump's winning across the board. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the bias of 2016 and 2020 and today, Trump is actually up a couple points. They give Democrats between a 4 and 7 point edge in the swing states. So Trump is clearly winning. Harris knows it. She's freaking out. She's going to the border. Mm-hmm. It's like the second time, or is it the first time?
Well, it's the second, because she was appointed border czar in March 2021. She talked to the president of Venezuela, or of Guatemala, rather. And then by June, her office was saying that wasn't her job anymore because she'd been so successful. No, they just said it was never her job.
Right. And now even Fox News won't say it.
I think she went to the border once, but it was El Paso. She went to El Paso.
She went near the border.
She went near the border. Yeah.
Is that where they put like corn relish on hot dogs?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever been to El Paso.
Oh, no, that's Texas, right?
That's Texas.
It sounds like a Texas thing. Corn on hot
it's
dogs.
New Mexico.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, New Mexico.
I've never been there. I've always wanted to go to Santa Fe, honestly.
Santa Fe is supposed to be super cool.
This is what I want to see the old pots.
Let's go.
Well,
I'm closer to the border than Kamala Harris ever has in her whole life.
I mean, let's just talk about the seriousness of Kamala Harris going to the border. Mm-hmm. Wow. She must be doing really bad.
Desperate. Their internal polling must be really, really pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. They know it. Mm-hmm. They know they're going to lose.
And there's no way for her. I mean,
so long as people actually vote. I mean, I think that Republicans or people who support Trump, which in many cases probably doesn't mean Republicans necessarily, need to show up and vote. Like, the numbers have to be too big to deny. Yeah. Because if they're close, they could very easily screw around. We already know, and the Washington Post has told us, that the numbers won't be available on an election night, that Pennsylvania's numbers won't be in on election night, because Pennsylvania, and I think, is it Georgia or Arizona, they won't start counting the mail-in ballots until the day of. So what that means, essentially, if you have a bit of a tinfoil hat on, if you want to, you could imagine that they see the results coming in from everywhere else, and they can make their own decision as to what's going on there.
Yeah, I think the Harris-Walz campaign is in trouble on a lot of fronts. There's a Fox News poll that came out today that said 9 out of every 10 Americans are locked into their vote. So there are a certain number of people who are like, I'll probably vote for Harris, but I'm not sure. But for the most part, I mean, also for Trump, right? They lean, but they're not sure. For the most part, Americans know who they want to support. And to your point, the question is, are they actually getting their ballots in? Are they mailing them in? Are they going to vote on election day? You could say, I know I'm going to support Trump, but it doesn't mean anything unless you cast the ballot. And I think that's the big challenge for conservatives, Republicans to overcome. But for Kamala Harris, the big criticism of her before the debate among undecided voters was that they didn't know enough about her. They didn't know what her policies were. They didn't know what she stood for. They wanted to hear more specifics.
They still don't know.
Right. This is someone who's been in the White House for 4 years. Now, vice presidents are sort of sometimes in the background, but like she was a senator. She's been on the national stage for a while, and they're saying, we don't know what her values are. We don't know what she's promising us. And she has still continuously failed to deliver specifics and is just kind of expecting everyone to roll with it. Like, if she gets enough pop stars to say they're voting for her for non-specific reasons, you will too. I think that's not something that will motivate independent voters, and she needs them.
All these pop stars coming out and saying they're voting for, Kamala.
Who do we have so far? What's the tally? We have Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish.
And Chapel Roan said yesterday that she's going to.
Who
She
is
had this.
that?
She's this like upcoming big star. She's got
She
like a
seems
big
super
red hair.
annoying.
Did that
Like, I'm
JoJo
so
whatever?
depressed
Music's
because
very
I'm
catchy, though.
famous.
Well, she got in trouble. There was some pushback because she wasn't willing to like speak badly about Republicans, but she was like, I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. And I think maybe her uncle is in the like Missouri legislature as a Republican, which I would love if we could stop condemning, everyone all the time. But she does the song Pink Pony Club. That's been really popular.
Good luck, babe. That's very popular on
hugely
TikTok.
popular. She's had a crazy summer.
So JoJo didn't endorse, did she? Or she just said Taylor Swift was brave for endorsing Kamala. So listen, we saw the polls. Taylor Swift ain't moving the needle for anybody. Most of these pop stars are targeting a disinterested faction of people. Like union workers are a big deal, but the Teamsters are leaning Trump. So if Kamala is going to look for new voters, what is she going to do? Taylor, quick, help me find voters. She's going to be like, my fans don't care about politics.
No, and when Taylor Swift endorsed her, she was like, she has the right character, but didn't name a specific policy.
That's
and
right.
this is what the undecided voters are saying. Kamala Harris, we need specifics. And her campaign is like, get another celebrity in here. Like,
Well, the DNC also is really trying to get out the vote among expats to send in their absentee
I
ballot.
saw that.
and in Arizona, the Harris Walz campaign is, sorry, I've said this 100 times, but I think it's so funny. They're specifically trying to motivate members of the Church of the Latter-day Saints. They want the Mormon vote, which Mormons are famously conservative and Republican. So
Well, Mormons just had a big fundraiser for, I know because Tommy Stevenson at the Post Millennial covered this. He had a big they had a big fundraiser in Utah for Trump, and Trump went out, and it was like a whole big thing.
Between 2016 and 2020, he gained 15%. He gained it on almost all religious groups, but Mormons in particular, he gained like 15%. It's I mean, like, I don't know why the Harris Walls is wasting their time.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.